Meditations on a year of high consequence, day 8. But this is video 4. And it's also February 17th, first day of the fire horse, Chinese New Year. And I think that's a great metaphor, and I'm really feeling it. Let's not talk about whether any of that's real, but let's consider the fact that we really need to hit the ground running in my visioning of how things need to move. And I'm not satisfied with what I've said so far. I know I'm talking to myself, mostly notes to myself in the one mind, but also trying to reach the Intrepid Citizens Council. We have some bottlenecks in terms of getting things to happen. And but one of them also is a bottleneck of communicating certain concepts with the right words. And that's what I'm trying to, at this point, I've got a couple more weeks before things can really start moving on the ground with respect to some of my allies and partners and the way the year moves into spring and all. And I'm trying to get to those last few breakthrough thoughts that I think I haven't quite expressed yet, because there's some things that I think we can do that are simple. There are some concepts that I think are simple that'll bring us back to a place where all of us can do something about the situation, which right now everybody's seeing it as somehow we have to change the politics because it's all the people in power doing things to us. And in fact, most people are in a situation where they don't see where their agency is. They just have to go to work. Agency, ability to do things and have influence on circumstances and such. And we think really all we can do is take care of our own personal lives, and that's true. That's what we need to focus on first. But then it builds out. You need to have responsibility for your community. It turns out that's something we kind of skipped in the modern world. But I want to get to what we can maybe do, because we're in a place where things need to break, and yet we're really stuck. And so the people that make things change, you think politics makes things change? Politics is a really slow way of doing anything, and it captures everybody's imagination because it's dramatic and it's, and you can move large energies that way, but that's not what sets the tone for the logic of the society. And the idea that there's any elites that really are in charge. At this point, the elites are just kind of treading water and trying to keep things going for a little while longer. And really, all the ways that people have to analyze things are stuck in the old paradigm of like continued growth. We need to everybody just make a little more money, pay off all their individual debts. Never mind that collectively, when we're all doing that, it amounts to this huge overuse of resources and inefficient and just not wise production. We're making things nobody, you know what I mean, way beyond what we really could be using if we were intelligent about it. And all this in the abstract makes sense, but how does it become something we're doing when on a daily basis, most people just have to take care of their current bills and go to their commitments? And then you've got the idea that government is going to step in and by taxing the economy, you're going to create a safety net. Hey, it's just so convoluted. And it's easy to see how people with good intentions are caught up in two sides of something that needs to come together to be effective. But for the moment, you've got the right defending the idea that, look, we have to make things work on the ground for real in terms of businesses that function without all this. If we're going to take care of the larger picture, there has to be a logic to do it intrinsically, because if the way we're going to do it is by trying to enforce through bureaucracies and governments, that's the left approach that I think has proven bankrupt. And so again, I'm going into the abstract analysis thing, which I've done many times. I've been kind of trying to address myself in the one mind towards the idea that I'm going to have a presentation of a strategy document and get some people working with me, because there's bottlenecks that are kind of tricky to address. There's some things that happen naturally and organically. There's other things that are incentivized by the current institutions. In terms of the current institutions, the fastest way to change anything is businesses. They can decide to do a different policy overnight and things start changing. But the activists that want to believe the left-wing values of taking care of everybody and having it be a fair playing field But then, that's where we want to reach. The high ground of the left is that. The low ground is that we're going to enforce it on people that don't quite understand yet and think of them as greedy. But so we have to get a government to make them do things. And I'm reiterating so much. And the right wing, the high ground is we have to do things for real and make these resources actual. Now, the low ground of the right is we only have to take care of ourselves and our family, and everything else can fall into place. Well, we have to be responsible on a greater level, but it does have to start with the foundation that the right is suggesting. So the fact that the left got stopped politically